Hello, my name is Kaceli. The following is a comprehensive tutorial on using Windows 11. We will start with the very basics and then proceed with more advanced features in order to master using Windows 11. As you watch the video, please consider referencing the quick guide posted in the video description. The best way to learn Windows 11 is to also practice the described features hands-on while you watch the video. As soon as you log into the system, one of the first things that you'll notice is that the taskbar layout has changed. It has changed in the location and also the items in the taskbar. Also, the options as part of the taskbar have changed. You have the Start menu, the Search option, major improvement in Windows 11, the virtual desktops, and I'll get into more later as to how that works, the widgets, the integration of Microsoft Teams, chat, and video conferencing as part of the operating system, getting to the web using Microsoft Edge, Windows File Explorer, and then access to email. And this is part of the revamped user interface or UI. You have a completely different color scheme and layout of the components in Windows 11. The login and logout has been changed, so it looks different here. And even the shutting down of the computer, it's now in a new location here in the Start menu. There are also some behind-the-scenes features and enhancements to the operating system. With the emergence of the larger monitors and so on, now Windows allows you to resize a window by simply holding the mouse on the maximize button here for any of the applications, and you can choose a particular layout. There are enhancements related to gaming. There is a gaming mode, also widgets. So if you click here on widgets, the taskbar is typically one of the tools of an operating system that it's used as a quick way to launch specific operating system functions. So you want to get to settings, for example. You want to get to launch the different applications or launch your files. So you need a way to get started. So in this case, here in Windows 11, the taskbar is this set of icons here in the bottom. Now it's in the middle of the screen. Now let's get to some of the components of the taskbar here. And then we'll get into how to customize the taskbar. So one of the first options here is a Start menu. You'll notice the Start menu has been revamped to the new user interface. You can navigate pinned applications as part of your options here or the display. You can get to all the apps in the operating system from here, or there are also recommended apps as well, or what you have used recently. The next part of the taskbar is the Search menu. So if we go here to click on Search, and by the way, you can get to the search by pressing the Windows key on the keyboard, and it will launch the same thing. The third option here is the virtual desktops. So virtual desktops is a functionality where you can launch specific programs on a workspace. So right now I have here my, let's say, Word, let's say 5 or 6 programs, but then all of a sudden I need to meet with a client. And instead of me having to clear my desktop and having to prepare my desktop to share my screen and so on, I can come down here to the virtual desktops area, click on it, and create a new virtual desktop. Now at this point, it's going to be a clean start. I can follow up with a client, work with them, open new applications, and switch between the multiple virtual desktops in a very easy way by retaining the previous settings. Now for me to go back to the previous desktop, I can simply click here on or hold the mouse on virtual desktops icon and then switch to my first virtual desktop where I'll get access to my apps and settings and things like that. The other cool feature as part of the new Windows taskbar is the widgets. To access the widgets, you can click on widgets here. And then you can have the weather, you can have the Outlook calendar reminder, sports, and you can add other widgets of your preference as well, such as traffic and so on. And if you scroll down, there is news and additional stock updates and things of that nature. To the right of this, there is the chat, Microsoft Teams, video conferencing, chatting as part of this operating system. Then next here, by default, you'll have access to Microsoft Edge, which is one of the web browsers, obviously. Then you have the File Explorer, and I'll get into more of those concepts shortly, and then email. Now, to customize those settings for the taskbar, you can right-click on it and choose Taskbar Settings. Now, notice one thing that is different from previous versions is that you don't have the Task Manager and a whole bunch of other options. You simply have now the Task Settings. Under Task Settings, this is where you can customize whether you want search to show up as part of the taskbar, whether you want the task view to show up, like those buttons that we saw down here, whether you want them to be displayed or not. Now, if you have a touch screen, you might want to enable the option for pen menu. Now, in most cases, that would be enabled, but if it's not, this is where you enable it. If you don't like the taskbar in the center here, how Microsoft has set it by default, you can change it to be on the left, and it will be very similar to the Windows 10 or Windows 7. If you have multiple displays, you can control whether you want your taskbar to show up on all displays, and this you'd have to have a check mark in here for that. Now, as part of the taskbar, there is also in the Start menu area here, if you right-click on it, you have a bunch of options very similar to the old Windows 10 and Windows 7, where you can get to certain key areas in your computer. So, for example, if you need to check the disk management, or if you want to check the computer management devices and resources in your computer, or if you want to get to the task manager, this is how you now get to it. And or the run command that it used to be before. And even shut down and restart the computer, it's by right-clicking on the Start menu. On the far right, you have this Quick Action Center, and we'll get into that later as well. But for now, here is where you can configure and connect to the Wi-Fi, airplane mode, and then change accessibility settings, things related to the battery, and so on. So this is kind of the quick settings for your desktop. To change your time clock in your computer, you can do it from here, along with adjustments of the notification settings while you are focusing on work. Bar. In this session of the Windows 11 tutorial, I'll demonstrate how to use the Start menu in Windows 11. The Start menu in Windows 11 allows you to access the various applications installed in your computer, the various settings in your computer, as well as other files, and navigate to the files and so on. So it's basically a way to access what is available in your computer. So to access the Start menu in Windows 11, notice that now it is centered in the bottom here. We click on Start, this icon here in the bottom left, and that's where the Start menu is in Windows 11. Notice at the very top of the Start menu, you have the Search option, and this is Windows Search. It's also the same function as over here to the right of the Start menu. Right below the Search option, you have the pinned applications. Those are commonly used applications that have either been pinned by Microsoft by default or that you can pin them on your own manually. If you don't want one of these applications pinned in here, you can right-click and choose to unpin it from the Start menu. If you want a particular application to show up in here, let's say we want PowerPoint, search for it, and then right-click on it and choose Pin It. You can search for the applications. Once you locate your application, you can right-click and choose to pin it to the Start menu. If we click on the Start menu again, we should have here PowerPoint as one of the options listed in here. Notice I have to navigate to scroll down to access it from here. Now, if we want to move one of those to a different location in the Start menu in the pinned area, we can select it and then drag it up or down in your list of applications here. To the right of the pinned area here, we have the All Apps. This is how you can access all the applications in your computer. So if you click here on All Apps, notice that they are categorized alphabetically, and you'll simply scroll down and access any of those applications. Now notice that these applications here, some of them contain folders. So if we click here on TechSmith, for example, notice that there are various other options within that folder. One application could contain other sub-applications as part of that main application. Further down here, we have also the recommended apps. These are applications that Microsoft is recommending for you to have access directly from the Start menu. These could be various files that you have used or various applications installed in your computer. To remove one of those applications from the recommended list here, you can right-click and choose Remove from the list. Further down in the Start menu, we also have the option to log off. This is the account that I'm logged into this computer currently. And if you wanted to switch accounts, you'll click on it and then choose to change account settings or to lock the account or sign out. On the right-hand side, this is where we have the power options. We can choose to put the computer to sleep from here, or we can shut it down or restart the computer. Furthermore, we could customize the Start menu by clicking on this empty space, because notice we have all this empty real estate here in the bottom between the account logged in and the power options. To get to the settings of the Start menu, right-click anywhere where they are in this empty space between the two and choose Start Settings. Now from here, we can select a different view. So if we wanted more icons to show up as more pins to be displayed, by default, it's basically some of the pinned apps and then recommended apps. But if you want more of the pinned apps as part of that real estate, you can choose to more pins. And it will look like this. Notice more of them showing up. Or more recommendations. More recommendations will give you more of the, it will shrink the space of the pinned apps and it will give you more recommended options down here below. If you do not want to show the recently added apps in the Start menu, you can turn this option off. So notice down here, I have, this is what I had installed recently, these two applications. If you don't want that option, so you can choose off here, and now those will no longer show up in the Start menu. To show the most used apps in the Start menu in Windows, you can select this option, turn this to on, and now if I click on the Start menu, they'll show up in here. Now, this account, I don't use it much, so that's why you're not seeing any difference at this point. I use this only for the recordings. You can also choose to hide or show the recently opened items such as File Explorer files. And if you want to turn this off, now notice that the recently opened files that I had from earlier, they'll no longer show up as part of the Start menu. Further down, you can choose to show the various folders as part of the Start menu. So this would be items that you want to be displaying in here between the DL staff and the power options. So we click on here, and then let's say I want to show the settings there. I want to show File Explorer, Documents, Downloads, Music, Network Settings, or even personal folders. This is new with the latest update from 2022 for Windows 11. It allows you to create personal folders in your computer as part of the Start menu. Now, if we go back to the Start menu, notice that down here I have all of these options that I can access the documents, downloads, or whatever I selected to add over here. So that is how you use the Windows 11 Start menu. So the desktop is simply an area where you can place various icons in order to launch programs in your computer. And in a lot of other cases, you can place shortcuts to a website or even shortcuts to files. So in this case, we have a bunch of the icons or programs here on the left. Now the difference here is that in order for me to open an application from here, for example Microsoft Edge, I need to double click on these icons to open them up. While from the taskbar here in the bottom, if I'm launching something from the taskbar, I'll click only one time in order to open that application. As you install different programs, different icons will show up on the desktop. What shows up on the desktop depends on whether the application has been configured by default to put an icon on the desktop. You can customize the view of it by simply right-clicking on it, and notice you have a bunch of the options here. You can change the view to have larger icons or different types of icons, and whether to arrange the icons on your desktop a certain way, align them, and even to show or not show the icons on the desktop. Also, you can create new shortcuts or new folders on the desktop. So if I want a new text document there, I can just simply click on New here, choose New Document or New Excel document, whatever I want, and there it is. Now, of course, to move those things around, you can drag them wherever you want them. To delete an icon from the desktop, that is quite obvious. You simply select it and you press Delete. One of the key components of the desktop is also the access to the recycle bin. So typically, anytime you delete something from your computer, it's going to put it automatically in a recycle bin. So if you wanted to retrieve something from a recycle bin, you can double click on it and then it will display what you have recently deleted. Here I can right click on it and choose to restore it. Now to customize the desktop, right click here on the desktop, choose to personalize it. And then under Personalize, this is where you can change a lot of the different settings, such as the color themes, the lock screen, and taskbar items and things like that, fonts and so on. And obviously here we are personalizing the background and so on. So you can pick different backgrounds, photos, change those contrasts. Another functionality that you can access through the desktop by right-clicking anywhere on the screen. Here you can also choose to change the display settings. If I wanted to change the font size on the monitor, the resolution, and so on, this is where I'll make those changes. If I right-click again on the desktop, notice there are some additional options here, and this is more like a look and feel what used to be on Windows 10. Opening an application and managing an application from Windows 11. Now this is a very basic concept that most of you have used, but yet if somebody is for the first time trying to understand the Windows 11 operating system, this would potentially help. So to launch an application, if the application is already on the taskbar, you can simply click on it and single click and it will open up. For example, here Microsoft Edge. If I wanted to open an application from the Start menu, you just simply click on Start and then pick the application from here or under the All Apps. So in that case, I'm simply finding it and then clicking on it and then launching it. If the application is also listed on the desktop and you want to launch it from the desktop, here you'd have to double click instead of single clicking. One of the features in Windows 11 and any application actually is that on the top right here, typically you have these controls. Now on a MacBook or on a Mac OS, those controls would be on the left-hand side. You can minimize this app by clicking on the little minus icon on the bottom left, and it will bring it down to the taskbar, and you can get a preview or relaunch it by clicking on it again. The other option here is this minimize, maximize option. What you see here on the screen, this is the new feature in Windows 11. And this allows you, with the emergence of the larger desktops, you simply hold the mouse on the icon here, on the middle one, and then you can select to park this application in half of your screen or a certain position of your screen. So if I want it just on the bottom right, top corner, a fourth of the screen, I'll click on this, and now it's only on that part of the screen. And then I can have something else on a different part of the screen. So that's another option where you can adjust the display depending on what you want. To close the application, you can simply click here on the X on the top right, and that is standard with other versions. In some cases, when you are working on an application, it crashed on you, and you just need to somehow make sure to close it without rebooting the computer, one of the ways to do that is to access or to close the application from the taskbar. So let's say the application is here, somehow it's misbehaving. Now I need to get to the taskbar to close it. To access a taskbar, and by the way, this has changed, you right-click here on the Windows icon and you click on Task Manager. Or you can simply go to the search option and type Task Manager. And now this will give you typically something like this. It will show up Task Manager and the apps that you currently have opened. So if I wanted to end this application forcefully, I'll click on the application and then choose End Task. In some cases, that application may not show up in this list, and then in that case, you can click here on More Details and then find the application and choose End Task. To find it, you'll click here on Processes. In this module of the Windows 11 tutorial, I'm going to go over how to switch between applications in Windows 11. The process is very much the same as previous versions of Windows, but for the purpose of understanding how the Windows 11 operating system works, I'll cover it here as well. So let's say we have two or more applications opened, and we need to switch between them. And we have only one monitor. Let's say I wanted to switch to Word. One of the options is to simply go to the taskbar here in the bottom and then click on Word and switch between the two. If I have more than two applications opened, obviously the process is going to be very much the same. So I'd go to the taskbar and switch between the applications here on the bottom. Another way to switch between the applications is to hold down the Alt key on the keyboard and then press Tab. This will display all the applications running currently on this computer. And then at this point, I can keep on pressing Tab and switch to a different application, or while I'm holding the Alt key, I can go and click on a specific one to switch to it. Earlier, I also covered that you can switch and have multiple desktops or multiple virtual desktops as well. If I want to switch to a completely different desktop, I'll go here to the bottom and switch to a new desktop, desktop 2, let's say, and from here I can launch a whole new setup, a variety of applications. In this module of the Windows 11 tutorial, I'm going to go over briefly how to use Windows Search. Windows Search, it's actually one of the cool, powerful features of the upgraded Windows operating system. Instead of you having to scroll and locate a various application and identify where it is and so on, you can click here on Search and simply start typing. That will search for apps, it will search for all the components in the computer, it will search for documents, the web, and people, photos, videos, and so on here. Those search options can be customized by clicking here on these three dots or options icon on the far right, and then you can customize various icons and also customize the search settings as well. The search, you can launch it directly here by clicking on the Windows icon, or you can press the Windows key and then simply start typing. So you type the name of the application and then you just simply click on it and it will bring it up. The other thing you can do is that you can search for settings in your computer. So let's say you wanted to change the display settings. You go here to the display area or any of the display components, and then you can change the various settings in here, like the scaling and so on. Another example would be, for example, the Wi-Fi. If you're not sure how to connect to the Wi-Fi, you can type Wi-Fi or wireless and then click on it and it will take you to your Wi-Fi settings. So the idea is, again, anytime you need something, instead of having to know where it is located, you can simply search for it with an approximate word and the system will bring up that particular file or that particular setting or that particular application. In this session of the Windows 11 tutorial, I'll demonstrate how to use File Explorer in Windows 11. File Explorer is a tool for navigating the files in your computer. To access File Explorer, we click here on File Explorer from the taskbar. And then on the left-hand side, we have here the Home option. This is a new option in Windows 11 that contains by default a quick access options such as the desktop, downloads, documents, pictures, and so on, favorites, folders, and items that you have marked as favorites, and then recent files. These would be files that you have been working on recently. Then on the left-hand side here, you'll have options such as OneDrive or items that you have marked as favorites or marked for quick access. Then further down, you have desktop, downloads, documents, pictures, and various key folders that you may want to access quickly. Further down here, we have the options for this PC and network. This PC, this is what lists the storage devices that you have in your computer. By default, every computer has a C drive, and then if you have a second hard drive, it will be listed something similar to this. But then if you have a CD-ROM drive in your computer, it would be D drive typically, or E drive. And then if you add a flash drive, this is where it will show up. So basically, to access any of those items, you'll need to click on this PC, and then further down, this is where you can navigate the files and folders in your computer. This is a recent update to Windows 11. Notice that there are now tabs that you can open. Instead of opening multiple windows to navigate through your files in your PC, you can now open a new tab very similar to a web browser for navigating the files in your PC. Now, at the very top here, if we go, let's say, to a location, let's say downloads in this computer, and if I want to create a new folder, I can click here on New. So notice we have these icons or menu items on right below the tab here. So if I want to create a new folder, I click on New, and then choose Folder, and then simply give it a name. From here, and I double-clicked on it to access it. Now, to create a new file, I could create it either using Word or opening a Word file and then creating it from the application, or I could create the file directly from here as well. So if I click on New Word document, I'm basically giving it a new name from here, and then it will give me the option to double-click on it and then open it in Word. And it will save it to the location that I created this file. Once you select an item, notice that the other menu items in the top show up here after the item has been selected. So it's very similar to contextual tools in Office applications. To determine as to what these icons stand for, you need to hold the mouse on them, and it will display what the item is. Remember also that to modify any of these files, you can right-click on them, and then you have other options as well related to that file. If I want this folder to be listed here under my favorite folders, all you have to do is you right-click on the folder and select Pin this to quick access. And notice point it'll add it here on the left-hand side. The advantage of the quick access is that anytime I'm working in File Explorer, instead of going to Downloads and then selecting my folder, I can click here on the left-hand side and it will take me directly to that folder. Now to copy a file, I can simply right-click and choose Copy, and then I can go to a different folder where I want to paste it and right-click in that location and then paste it. Obviously, this is a simple concept, but it's to demonstrate the usual functionality in Windows Explorer. Now to rename this file, I can simply right-click on it and choose Rename, or click over here in the file name and then choose the Rename icon. Notice there is also the sorting option here that I can sort them by name or by date. And then there's the view option, whether I want large icons or whether I like a listing of files or also the details for those files. There is also the compact view, the changing of the various views. So if you want to see more files in a compact way, you'd select this option. And you can also select from here whether you want to show the preview pane on the right-hand side. So if I click on this file, it will give me a preview of what that document contains. You can even have checkboxes under View here and then Show. This is where you can also select to show hidden items or hidden files in Windows. Further to the right, we have these three dots. This is where you can see additional options, whether you want to select them all, or the properties for this folder, or options for File Explorer. So if we click here on Options, this is where we can configure in the system when you open File Explorer if you wanted to see the Home tab or if you want to go to this PC automatically here in the bottom. This is also where you can define whether you want to open each folder in the same window or in its own window, and whether single click or double click on items to open them. Here is how you can clear the history and for privacy reasons in your computer. If for some reason you mess up those settings, you can also restore those defaults by clicking on this button here, Restore Defaults. Under the View area, and this is where we are getting more granular, this is where you can specify additional options, whether you want to show certain items or not, and you can apply this to all the folders. Now, if you make changes in your PC and you want to go back to revert back to the default options, you can always click here on Reset Folders, and that will reset all the settings to the default folder settings. As I mentioned earlier, you also have the tabbed browsing here in File Explorer. The advantage of this is that you can navigate to various folders in your PC, and instead of interfacing between various windows, you're just interfacing via the various tabs in your computer here. In this segment of the Windows 11 tutorial, I'll demonstrate how to pin apps to the taskbar in Windows 11. Prior to the 2022 update of Windows 11, it was not easy to pin applications to the taskbar. Now you can pin apps to the taskbar by simply dragging them from the desktop to the taskbar and just letting the mouse go. Let's say I want to pin the Zoom application to the taskbar. I simply can drag it to the taskbar and then let the mouse go, and it will create a shortcut on the taskbar. Now, one thing that is still interesting is that you cannot add it to the taskbar by right-clicking on an icon on the desktop. So in that case, if you want to add another application to the taskbar, you simply go to the Start menu, search for the application or locate the application, and then right-click on it and choose Pin to Taskbar. Now to remove an application from the taskbar, you right-click on the icon and then select Unpin from Taskbar. In this segment of the Windows 11 tutorial, I'll demonstrate how to change the location of the taskbar in Windows 11. In Windows 11, by default, the taskbar is centered to the bottom of the screen. If you want to change this similar to the prior versions of Windows, you can use this process to change it. You can right-click here on the taskbar and select Taskbar Settings. Scroll down under Taskbar Behaviors, and then change the taskbar alignment from center to the left. And then close the taskbar settings, and then you're all set. Working with folders, I find that most users don't fully understand working with files. Let's say I wanted to create a new folder here. If I click on New up here, I can choose to create a new shortcut or a new folder and a new bunch of other stuff here. But for now, I want to create just a new folder. So I click on New and then choose Folder, and then I have the name of the folder, and then you hit Enter. To move a file into this folder, I can do it a couple ways. Let's say I have this file right here, and I want to move it over here. I can simply drag it, and then it will put it in that folder. Drag and drop, it's great as long as you're precise in it. There's a danger in a drag and drop because sometimes you may drop a file in the wrong place. So the best thing to move files around is by simply selecting them. If there are more than one, then you can simply either select all of them or select just a few of them, or you can hold the Control key and select random ones, or you can click on the first one, hold down the Shift key, and then select a few of them. And then at this point, notice that you can use these options up here. By the way, Microsoft in Windows 11 changed this, so we can cut these, and then we are going to move them somewhere else. So this is the safer way to move files around. Or you can also right-click and then choose here the options. Notice this changed as well in Windows 11, these icons. It doesn't say cut anymore or copy unless you hold the mouse on it. Click on Cut here, and now I go back navigating to the top folder here, or I can go to the left and use the navigation on the left. And then let's say I want to paste those files in here. I can either right-click and choose the option to paste. Notice again the word is missing, but you have the icon here to paste, or you have the paste icon on the top. These may be very basic concepts, but it's really necessary to work effectively in the workplace. Now, one of the needs that I also find the users are not very familiar with in any version of Windows is how to create a compressed file, or a zip file as it's called. So let's say I have here this Word 2019 folder, and it has a bunch of stuff in there. Now let's say I want to send that to somebody in a compressed format because it has a lot of stuff in it. To create a zip folder or a zip file, all you have to do is right-click on it, click on Compress to Zip File. Now the terminology here in Windows 11 has changed. So we click here on Create a Zip File. It's going to do its thing, and it's actually putting all of these files, including the folder and potentially subfolders, into one single file for you to send away. Notice it says it's a zip folder. It has a zip little icon thingy here, and that's what you'd need to send. But you're sending one compressed package. Typically for large zip files, it's best, instead of emailing them, to maybe share them either using OneDrive or Google Drive or some kind of cloud file sharing platform. Most systems are not going to deliver for emails that contain zip files for security reasons. Now, let's say that I received this file. Typically, with a zip file, you also need to extract those files. Notice there's an option for Extract All Items in this folder. Or you can right-click on it and choose to extract all, and that's a necessary process for any zip files for you to do on your end. Obviously, you need to do this only when you're completely sure from a safe sender. Notice it's going to, by default, extract it in the same folder that we had it, However, you can change it to a different folder. You press extract, and all those files at this point will be displayed in here. Notice it creates a new folder matching the zip folder, and under that then there are the actual files. The context menus for the File Explorer in Windows 11 have changed. Notice first the rounded corners, the visual look and feel, and then these options have been kind of rearranged and the icons have changed. Notice here that the most commonly used functions don't contain the words anymore. More options. This will bring more of the old look and feel from Windows 10, and that's how it used to actually look. Finally, as you're accessing files, in some cases there might be a need for you to track down hidden files in your computer. There are certain places that the files are stored and you just need to make sure to kind of get to them or view them or do something with them. So, and one common area is, for example, if we go here under the users folder, we go under this account, my profile account, notice that by default you see maybe 10 or 12 different folders in here. However, there are files and folders in there that are actually hidden by default, and to view those files and folders, simply going here under View, we scroll down under Show, and then we choose here the Show Hidden Files or Unshow Hidden Files. And notice now under App Data you'll have this displayed. So if you have a Windows PC with a network connection, a wired connection, obviously you simply take the wired connection, and provided the port on the wall is active, you simply plug it in and you should be able to connect to the internet. If you have a wireless laptop or a wireless device with Windows 11 and you want to connect to a network, whether at home or at your business, in the bottom right here you'll see a globe with a little arrow like this. So you'll need to click in this area, it doesn't matter which area, and it's going to bring up quick settings. Notice that currently the Wi-Fi is not turned on, so I can click here to turn it on. And notice now it's blue. So typically this has to be blue. It has kind of changed in Windows 11. And once this is blue for the wireless connection, that means that it's on and available to view the wireless networks. And then we need to click here on this right arrow to click on the wireless connections. And then you pick the connection in your area or from your business. Typically the ones that have a lock in there, that means that there is a passphrase and you'd need to know the passphrase. Typically on your own router, print it out from the internet provider, or in a business it might be a shared password through the IT department, or in a lot of cases it's upon login. Click on the network connection and then you press connect. It will prompt you to enter it. If it doesn't need a password, in this case I was connected before, that's why it didn't prompt me, then it will remember those settings. Under this little icon here, you can also check additional properties related to the wireless network. To get to these settings, obviously, you can go to the settings area and Windows search, and then choose Wi-Fi settings, and then choose Show Wireless Networks, and this is where you pick to connect to another network. So that's another way to manage the wireless network and connect to the network. In this module of the Windows 11 tutorial, I'm going to demonstrate how to connect to the internet. This is really very basic, but it's one of the aspects of learning about an operating system, particularly if you're not sure how this is done. Once you have connected your computer to the network in a wired way or a wireless way, and for the wireless, by the way, refer to the tutorial on connecting to a wireless network. Once you have done that, typically you need to use a browser. Now the default browser, and it's included in Windows 11, is Microsoft Edge. This is typically based on a Chrome background platform, but it's very efficient. Now, of course, other browsers are also Google Chrome, Firefox, and other ones such as Brave, which is a recent one based on Chrome as well, but for more privacy. Notice that you have a search box here on the bottom, and then you have an address bar on the top. On the top, that's where you type your URL. Now that can search also. So if you type in here, if you type Kaceli tutorials, notice you'll get a lot of other stuff in there and it'll perform a search. That's because the address bar on the top acts as both a navigation tool and also a search tool. They are combined into one. Now, a lot of users, they search in this area here, this search box. So whenever you're typing in here Kaceli.com, for example, that is actually not going to take you directly to the website. You're just searching as part of the default search that the startup page has. So it's going to give you a lot of different options here, but not necessarily take you there directly. So my suggestion to be effective and to know how this is done, you just type what you want to type on the top part and not the second part. The other thing to consider here for the web browsers, and I'm not going to get into too many details, the other thing is to go and check the settings and modify the settings in your browser. So you'd click on these icons here on the top, and you'd go under Settings, and then here is where you can change whether it's a privacy, whether it's the appearance, look and feel of your browser. Starting page, this is where you can set a new page. So for example, if I want to always start with a new page here, and that new page should be Kaceli.com, that's how I simply add it in here. Now that I changed the default start page, notice that once I open it up again, it'll take me just to that website that I configured it earlier. One of the tools that I find useful is also here under the settings, and then which is the three dots up here, and then under more tools, there is this option also to cast this to a device to connect to a remote display. In this segment of the updated Windows 11 tutorial from the 2022 update, I'll go over some of the features in Microsoft Edge that were added with this update. I have opened Microsoft Edge, and notice on the right-hand side we have now this new sidebar. In the sidebar you can search with Bing directly from here, and obviously you can search from the top here as well, but this is an option that it doesn't close the existing tab. The Discover option, you can search whether from this site, based on this site, or relevant information similar to this site. Other tools, such as a calculator, the clock, various conversion tools, games, open Microsoft Office, Outlook, and you can add a variety of other applications from here. So for example, if you wanted to always open Gmail, you can simply click on it and it'll add this little icon on the right-hand side. Now, furthermore, you can customize the sidebar by clicking here on Settings and then selecting additional options from here. If you do not want to see this sidebar, you can click to hide it. To bring it back, we click here on Settings and then click on Show Sidebar. Another improvement in the 2022 update was the menus. Notice that the menus now are much more visually appealing with the round corners as well. Another enhancement was the addition of collections. And collections are similar to bookmarks, but you're adding screen clippings, articles, websites to a particular collection. So if you click here on collections, you can create new collections by clicking here on Start a New Collection, and you can sort them however you want. So to add this page to one of the collections, you can right-click on the tab and then click on Add the tabs to a specific collection. So you're adding all the tabs that we currently have opened to the tech collection. Another useful function in the updated Microsoft Edge is to automatically save money while you shop. So if we go here to walmart.com and search for the word computer or whatever you want to search for, notice at the top here we have the option that says this site has coupons. Click on it and it will display current coupon codes that you can utilize from this website. You can copy the coupon and then enter it during the checkout. Other enhancements also include the privacy settings. So if we go here under Settings and go under Privacy, Search and Services, under Balanced, it has also the option to block the trackers from sites that you haven't visited, content and ads, and it blocks harmful trackers as well. So this is selected by default, and you can even make it stricter than what it is here. Another helpful tool is the Web Select feature, which basically it allows you to select a whole bunch of text. So if I click here on Web Select, you drag the mouse to the section of text that you want to select, and notice it's going to pick all of those text areas. Next, we can paste what we copied from here in another application. Another great feature is also the option to read this page aloud. When we click here,
over 400 free tutorials. Start learning and advance in your career. Free technology training. Access more than 400 free tutorials on the YouTube channel on Microsoft Office 2019.
So the audio it's fairly clear and accurate, and it makes it very easy to read with a natural voice. This, as you noticed, also it highlights and auto scrolls the text to help the learner and those with reading difficulties. Another feature that is very helpful is, and this is new as well, is the web capture feature. The web capture, you can select either the whole page or you can capture a particular area. You select the section that you want to capture, and then you can copy this or mark it up. We're going to bring up the annotation tools similar to this. Another nice feature in the updated Microsoft Edge with the ability to launch a particular website or a tab as a separate app. So if we have this website and we click here on the configuration, then go under apps, then you can click here under install this site as an app. Give it a name, press install, and then it'll pin it to the start, it'll pin it to the taskbar, can create a desktop shortcut, and it can also auto start it when the device signs in. You click on allow, here this is how it'll look, and there will be an icon on the desktop and on the taskbar to launch it. Other helpful tools with this update include also this area here. If you go to settings and choose more tools, you can obviously cast this to a media device. You can even cite this, and this is actually pretty cool. So if we go here to the YouTube channel, you're not sure how to cite this resource, we click on the settings, go to more tools, click on cite this, and it will prompt us to pick what style for citations to utilize, whether it's MLA or APA 7. And then you simply copy this and then put it in your paper as part of the citation. You can pick whether it is a website, you can put the author's name, the date it was published, and the year. You can pick today, and then put some kind of annotation if necessary, and the citation will look like this. Then you'll copy this and put it as part of your citations, as part of your research paper. Other helpful tools here include the Math Solver. The Math Solver is basically if you want to use mathematical equations, whether they are on a website where it will allow you to select those math problems, or you can write and it will help you solve those particular math problems. So I hope you found those tools and features helpful in the updated version of Microsoft Edge. Windows 11 has a new feature called Widgets. Here in the taskbar, it's one of the main icons added by default. You click on Widgets, and you'll be able to see particular ones that the Microsoft has already put in there by default for you. However, you can customize those widgets by using the More Options item here, and you can make this large or medium or remove it completely. You can go and add new ones, pick the items that you want to add, and then you can further come in here and customize them the size, and other options related to them. How to shut down the computer in Windows 11. This might seem like a very easy and simple step. To shut down or reboot the computer, you simply go here under the Start menu, and then you click on the power icon in the bottom right. From here, you can select the shutdown option or the restart option. Obviously, the restart option, but clear everything from the memory. If the computer is running into a problem, it is highly recommended that you first reboot the computer before you get too frustrated with the problem that you are running into. When you put the computer in sleep mode, it's not closing the programs, it's keeping everything the way you had them before, but just conserving energy and putting things to sleep. The hibernate mode is actually more effective in saving battery life on your laptop, but it takes a little bit longer in order for it to start up. If you have a solid-state drive, the hibernate mode probably is the better option for conserving battery. In this module of the Windows 11 tutorial, I'll demonstrate how to install the Windows updates and keep the computer up to date. We go here under the Windows search, or press the Windows key and then type Windows Update. Notice that there are some updates here. We simply press Install Now, and the updates will be installed in the computer. The other thing to remember is that you can pause Windows updates if you don't want the computer to be restarted during business hours, or you want to pause them for a week and so on. This is where you can change those settings. If you want to look at the history of updates, you can click on Windows Updates History, and it will show you what has been installed in the computer. Further down here under Advanced Options, you can also choose to install the updates at certain hours of the day or at certain times. You can choose when to receive the Windows updates, and also here's another option that you might want to consider under optional updates. Sometimes there are driver software for your PC or non-crucial updates for your PC that might be helpful. But it is important to keep your PC up to date, whatever version of Windows you have, for security reasons, for better performance of your PC, and sometimes additional functionality as well. In this segment of the Windows 11 tutorial, I'll demonstrate how to customize the look and feel of Windows 11. There are a couple ways you can do the changing of the look and feel. You can right-click from the desktop here and then choose Personalize. And then under Personalize, you can change and pick here various themes. So let's say I want to utilize this one. It'll adjust all the colors and everything related to that Windows theme. So I'm going to revert it back for now. If you want to further just customize certain things, for example, the desktop settings, if you wanted to change the sounds or change the defaults or the cursor and so on, this is where you do it as well. Now, to change the font size of your icons and components of Windows, right-click here on the desktop and then choose Display Settings. Now, I'm showing you this from the desktop functionality. However, you can also search for it and just simply choose here Display Settings. And then under the scaling here, you can change this so that it can be larger fonts and larger icons, or smaller if you prefer. And the screen orientation and things of that nature. How to customize the Windows 11 settings. Just like with any other operating system, there is typically a need to go and modify particular settings in the computer or in that particular device. So think of it like if you have an iPhone and you go to the settings area, you can modify a variety of things, whether it's for the apps or the look and feel and the privacy and things like that regarding your device. So the same thing here as well. You can go under the search option to get to settings, and this would be the easiest one. You can press the Windows key on the keyboard, or you press the search option here, and then simply type in here settings. That's the quickest way to get to it. Once you click on settings, notice that this is actually a major improvement in Windows 11. While in Windows 10 you had settings that had the old look and feel to them, in Windows 11 Microsoft did a really outstanding work on restructuring them, making sense, and also visually appealing as well. So at the very top here you have the option about the system. So you can change system-related settings, such as changing, for example, the name of your computer, the updates about the computer, and obviously under the system settings you can change settings related to the display, the sound, notifications, power, storage, anything that is system related. As far as devices and so on, you can click on that and you'll be able to customize settings related to any devices connected to your computer. And the same under network and so on. Then personalization. This is where you change the themes and the look and feel of your operating system. And then under apps, this is where you can click and choose default features or even uninstall various applications in your computer. So this is where you can add and remove programs from your computer. Now, if for some reason you need to delete an application to remove it, notice that this has changed in Windows 11, and you can click here on the three dots on the far right or in the configuration icon on the far right and then choose to uninstall it from here. Additionally, you have the gaming settings and also privacy settings and Windows Update. So all of that to say that very similar to an iPhone or a smartphone where you can change and customize the settings about that device. The same idea is here as well. You can also search here for a particular setting. Let's say you're not sure where disk cleanup is located. You can still search for it. In this module of the Windows 11 tutorial, I will demonstrate how to customize the privacy settings in Windows 11. So you go here in the Start menu or in the Windows Search, either one of them, and we type here Privacy Settings. Notice on the left you'll have Privacy and Security. And then you can change other stuff related to security as well, but in our case here we are concerned primarily about the privacy settings. So you can go here under General, and you might want to turn off a lot of these options. Then we go back here under Privacy, and you're not done yet, by the way. You go here under the Speech Settings, and then you change also the speech settings to change those to off. Basically, you're not sending the speech patterns or whatever you say be stored externally from your PC. Then you can go down under the inking and typing personalization. You can turn off also the dictionary and certain terms and words that you type on the soft keyboard so that those are not stored outside of your PC. Additionally, you go under the diagnostic and feedback, and you want to potentially turn all of these off, and then under the feedback frequency, so basically put the most minimum that it allows you to put in there. Of course, take note of what you're turning off so that just in case something happens, you'd come back to them. If you go under the activity history, you can choose to turn that off as well. You can clear the privacy setting there. Then you can go under the search permissions. This is probably what you want to do for the safety of kids or the moderate search. This has to do with the web content that is it's going to display in your computer. As far as the cloud search content and so on, you can turn these off as well if you prefer more privacy. Under location, notice that there are also app permissions such as location, and this is very similar to like if you have an iPhone, you can control what apps can access your location and things like that. It's very similar to that here as well. You're just going here and then identifying which apps have access to your location settings, and you can change this by default or you can clear that history. The same is with camera and microphone. However, for camera and microphone, I'd be cautious on turning things off from here. For example, if you're turning this off from Skype from here, or the camera, you're not allowing it to turn on, you're not allowing it at all for a specific app, when you go to use that app, you'll most likely have problems with using the camera or the microphone. So I'd be very cautious on turning off the camera settings. Voice activation, keep these off. For the particular, for Cortana or keywords, this would be like Apple has Hey Siri, Windows. If you have this option on, it's always listening for the word Cortana. In this module, I will demonstrate how to use the Action Center or Quick Settings Center in Windows 11. Typically here in the taskbar on the far right of the desktop, we have these options. This is an area, a listing of items or functions that you can quickly access. Anything in blue, that's active. Anything that is not in blue, that's not activated at this point. We can change the display here, we can change the sound settings and so on, and volume settings, and you can go under more volume and so on. Now notice that there is also an edit icon in here, and we can add additional items to the quick settings area, which Microsoft would actually have added these additional settings by default. So we click here on add, and let's say I want the cast option so that I can connect to a remote display easily. Let's say I also want the night light option. I want the nearby sharing and also the project option. Then I click on done. Now those options will be available at any point by simply clicking anywhere in here and then selecting that particular option for quick access. In this module, I'll demonstrate how to change the default printer or how to set up the default printer in Windows 11. By default in Windows 11, the Windows determines as to which printer becomes the default. So to set the default printer, we go here under the search menu, and then we type printers. We go to printers and scanners, and then the first option that we want to change, to scroll down here below the list of printers and turn off the option for letting Windows manage it. Once we have turned off the option for Windows to manage the printer, then we go to the particular printer that we want and then click on it, and then this button will show up for making it as a default. And notice here at this point it will state default. In this module of the Windows 11 tutorial, I'll demonstrate how to connect to the Windows 11 store. Think of the Windows 11 store as the App Store if you have an iPhone, or the Google Store if you have an Android phone. So to access the App Store, you click on the Windows Start or on the search, and then you can simply search for Store, or you just click on the Microsoft Store. These are basically third-party apps, or sometimes from Microsoft, or third-party apps that you are adding onto your PC to increase its functionality. Now, there is also in Windows 11 functionality or the option for you to be able to install Android apps as well, and you do that primarily through the Amazon App Store. So here, if we wanted an app installed, whether it's Netflix or WhatsApp or whatever it is, the apps here, you simply click on it, and then sometimes you might have to pay additional fee for it, sometimes may not. You can check the ratings, you can check the description, and so on. And if you decide to install it, then you can simply click on Get. It will associate the app with your Microsoft account. You'll need to enter your Microsoft account, log in, and it's basically going to be very similar to an app store from Apple or from Google in smartphones. In this video, I'll demonstrate how to change your Windows password. There are a couple ways to change it. If you're working in a corporate environment and you're connected to a network, then obviously you change the password through the tools that the IT department has set up for you. However, in most cases, even if it's a network account, you can change your Windows password by simply pressing Control-Alt-Delete in your computer, and then a prompt like this will come up, and then you can click here on Change Password, and then you can put in your old password, the new password, and confirm the new password as well. And this is the quickest and easiest way to change the password. The other options are also under the search. If we go here to search and then change password, we have more clicks that are involved in this step through this procedure, but you'd still reach to the same conclusion. In this module of the Windows 11 tutorial, I'll demonstrate how to lock your computer if you're going to step away from your desk for a few minutes or for the rest of the day. This is a very good practice to do to get into the custom of doing, and obviously this is for security and maintaining your privacy and the security of your files. So you can be on any application that you're working on, and at any point that you want to lock your computer, you simply can press the Windows key and the letter L on the keyboard. And then it will bring you back to this option. So it's basically going to bring you to the login screen again. When you're ready to come back and start working again, you can simply hit any keys on the keyboard, enter your password, and then you're back to everything that you had on your computer. If you want to do it using the Windows option, the Windows Start menu, that option is located under the Start here. And then you click on your account, and typically you'd click on your account, and there will be an option for a lock here under your account. For some reason, it's not displaying that at this point while I'm recording, and I guess it has to do because I just locked it, came back, and I'm having still the recorder on. In this segment of the Windows 11 tutorial, I will go over the Windows security settings and how to check your computer for viruses and malware. Windows 11 actually comes packaged with its own security suite and firewall tools as well. To get to those tools, we need to go to one of the ways to get there is to open the Start menu or the search window and then search for Windows security. We go to Security Settings, and here it's going to give us a preview of actions that are necessary in your computer, things that are okay in your computer. So now to customize those settings, click here on Open Windows Security, and then we can set up OneDrive if we prefer to. This is not really a necessity. This is basically Microsoft pushing OneDrive and also trying to make sure that you're backing up your files online on the cloud and not necessarily lose them at some point in time. Then under the Account Protect login here with the Microsoft account, on the left-hand side, we have here the firewall and network protection. Notice that no action is needed at this point, but you can go and click on it and check various firewall rules and advanced settings and customize those firewall settings if you prefer. Under the App and Browser Control, this can block unwanted apps, and currently it's turned off. You'd want to make sure it's turned on, and you put in your password, and it will enable it for you. Under the Device Security, there are additional settings behind the scenes here that it's utilizing. Such as the single core isolation, the security of the processor level. And so if we go here under Virus and Threat Protection on the left-hand side, this is where we can run a scan on your computer. You can do a quick scan. In my case, it took 2 minutes and 31 seconds. Or you can change those scan options and do a full scan, a custom scan, and once you pick the type of scan that you want, you click on Scan Now, and it may take quite a bit of time if you have a lot of files and you choose the full scan option. As the files are scanned, typically it's going to show you the results and things it has found and things that you need to correct or to allow, and all you need to do is basically proceed with a positive way to remove them or apply what Microsoft determines as You can also check here for protection history, what has taken place at certain points in time, and it's basically a log of the activity from the scanning software. So all that to say that under the Security Center, the Windows Security, you have a virus and firewall protection. There is also the account protection. There is the firewall and network protection aspect, the browser level protection, device security at the component level in the computer, and then also device health. Under the Windows security, here it's important to note that there are also family options here. You can set it up to protect the kids' screen time habits. So you can set time for kids, how long they can use the devices and so on. To do that, you'd go under View Family Settings, and you'd have to configure it using your Microsoft account, and basically all the devices are connecting to a Microsoft account, and then Microsoft is managing that time and the settings that you have configured for your family. In this module of the Windows 11, I'll demonstrate how to connect and extend your display to a second display device in Windows 11. This comes in handy if you have a second monitor or a TV where you want to project to, or if you want to connect to a projector in a classroom or in a business meeting. So typically, as soon as you connect a monitor, a second monitor, to your PC, by default, the content from your main PC to the second one will be mirrored. That's referred to as a mirrored display. Now, to connect to a projector, you can press the Windows key on the keyboard and then P, the letter P on the keyboard, and this will bring up this menu. So you can currently I have only one monitor here connected to this system, but if I had a second one, I could duplicate this screen, and typically by default it will be duplicated as soon as you connect a second screen. However, the function that you want to use is the extend desktop. That will make it so that you can move the mouse from one screen to the other and open one application, one screen, another application in the other screen as well. And to do that, you simply click on the extend display option here. Now, of course, I'm recording this, and it's not as easy to replicate it to show what happens, but you basically just see the second desktop, and you can move the mouse to it. And the way you get to this is by pressing the Windows key and then letter P. Now, if for some reason you don't remember the Windows key and then P for project there, one of the things that you can do is click on the search icon and then just type extend. You want to extend the desktop, or you can do the word duplicate. And click here on duplicate or extend desktop display, and it will give you the options to modify for the options for multiple displays and so on. In this module, I'll demonstrate how to cast or connect to an external device, or a remote monitor, or a remote TV, or a remote Windows PC. Windows 11 has the functionality to connect to a remote display, and you can do that by simply pressing the Windows key and then the letter K, and then this will bring up the cast option here. Now you can simply click on it, and then it will connect to the remote device. To get to this, in case you don't remember the Windows key and then K, you can go here under the search option and then just choose cast. And then you have the option here to connect to a wireless display, and then you'll click on connect. And it's going to bring you back to the same option that we had. One other option is that you can go here under the quick action items on the bottom. You can click on any of those icons in here on the bottom. At the bottom, you can choose to add other functionality. For example, nearby sharing, you can enable it, or casting, or projection, to add the project icon so that you can always access it easily. Add it once and then you're done, Then when you go in the future, you click here on the quick actions. Instead of having to do Control K or Windows and then P, you just have the option to cast or to project from here. Because I'm recording a tutorial, I can't demonstrate the mirroring of it with a connection, but that should work. In this module of the Windows 11 tutorial, I'll demonstrate how to connect to a Windows PC and mirror the screen from an Android device. Windows 11 has the capability to allow other devices to connect to it to mirror the screen from the remote device to the Windows 11 device, and that is done using the projection tool in combination with the connect tool. This is typically done using a Miracast connection, which is a Microsoft technology available through Android devices as well. For this to work, the devices have to be on the same wireless network and also support the Miracast connection. So the way to do this is basically you go to the Windows Start and then you go search for projection. You go here under Projection Settings, and then you need to enable these options very similar to here. So we want to make sure that to allow this from everywhere for Windows and Android devices to project to this PC when you say it's okay. So you'd have to approve it basically, but yet you're making your computer available. Availability is for you to connect both from an Android device or a Windows PC. The next option that you want to make sure is that every time a connection is requested, for you to be approving the connection. And then the third one is for you to provide a PIN. You can say never to this. As soon as you confirm it, they will be able to connect. Or you can just give them a PIN every time to connect. It's up to you, but you'd have to give that user then the PIN for them in order to project to your PC, to mirror their screen to the PC. Once you're ready, by the way, there is additional help options down here in the bottom as well. But once you are ready for you to allow somebody to connect to your PC, you'd basically click here to launch the Connect app. That is making your computer available for somebody to connect. It's making their computer discoverable in the network to connect. Now on the Android devices, and unfortunately I cannot simulate it here, you're going to need to go to Settings and select one of the options. Obviously, in Android, most devices differ from one to the other. Some of them use the word cast, broadcasting the screen. Some others use the word mirror. Others use the word connect. So you might have to look through the settings, but you want to find the setting to connect, to mirror your screen to another device. It's important to note that this function will not work on Apple devices. So once you're ready here to allow a connection, you click on Launch the Connect app to project to this PC, and then it's ready. So as soon as they are able to connect, you'll be able to see the content or mirror of their screen. On their devices, they will need to choose to connect to a remote device. So they'll have to use the cast option. And if they are using a PC, they'll need to use the cast option, which is Windows K on the keyboard, or connect to a remote display. Or on an Android device, they'll have to use the connect or mirror option, depending on the Android model. In this session of the Windows 11 tutorial, I'll demonstrate how to use the Windows Snap feature. This is enhanced in Windows 11, and it's actually very powerful. Particularly, it's useful with larger monitors nowadays and more convenient as well. So let's say I have this application. I have Word here, and then I also have PowerPoint. And I have only one monitor, but I want to use those side by side. So the easiest way is if I go here on the top right under the maximize, minimize icon, notice that there are these different layouts that are available, and this is new. You hold the mouse on it, on the maximize, minimize, and now let's say that I want to put this application on the left half of the screen. I simply click on it, it will put my PowerPoint on the left half of the screen. Now I go back to my Word document and do the same thing, but I want to put it in the second half of the screen. But now let's say that I want a third application to have on the right-hand side as well, but split the right half into two parts. So I could do that this way. I can go and pick something this layout with 3 components to it. And then let's say I want also Microsoft Edge here. And in Microsoft Edge, I want to put that in the bottom right. Now this works well to navigate it, particularly if you have a large monitor or a TV and you want to have different apps as part of that navigation without having to switch from one to the other. In this module, I'll demonstrate how to remove unwanted applications from your computer. Typically, when you buy even a new computer, there might be applications that you really don't want and you just want to speed up the computer and remove them. Get to see what applications are installed in the computer. You can access it a couple ways. You can go here on the search option and then just type apps. So you click on add and remove programs, and here it will list all the various programs that are installed in this computer. Now to remove one of those programs, I go here to Camtasia, I click on the more options, and I can choose to modify it or uninstall it. Modify, it's going to simply select new parameters for the reinstallation of the application. Typically it's not very useful. Typically you want to use the option to uninstall. In this module of the Windows 11 tutorial, I'll demonstrate how to adjust the sound settings and sound volume in Windows 11. For some reason, this function has become more complicated in this version of Windows. In the past, we would go here under Sound and we could just go ahead and change. Now, as we click on that icon for the sound and volume, notice it brings us the Action Center. The Action Center here, one of the options is the sound. So if we click on the little arrow on the far right, this is where we can change which speakers to use. There are additional settings here as well that we can adjust as far as the sound goes. We can get to this settings also by going here under Search menu and then just typing Sound Settings. One other option is by right-clicking. If you scroll down, if you move the mouse to the sound icon and right-click on it and choose to open the volume mixer or the sound settings. In this session of the Windows 11 tutorial, I'll go over some of the changes in Windows 11 Task Manager. To get to the Task Manager, we need to click here on the Start menu. We can right-click on it and choose Task Manager, or we can go to the Search menu and simply type Task Manager. We have Processes is the first tab that opens up when you open Task Manager. To the right of it, we have the option to run a new task. Under Processes, it lists all the processes that are running under this user in this PC at this point. By clicking on the name here, you can sort them by title, and you can navigate to the right-hand columns and see the total CPU usage in this PC, how much memory is being used, disk usage, network usage, and so on. Typically, the PC should be running anywhere between 4 and 6% CPU utilization when doing regular tasks most of the time. Now, in my case, I'm recording this video, and notice it's using Camtasia Recorder, and it's using 10% of the CPU just for that. If this application was not the one that you were intending to use, but you're noticing that the CPU is running at high utilization, then you come in here and you can click on it, and then you select the application and then choose to end task. That'll terminate that application that is potentially causing issues in your PC. Now, obviously, I'm not going to end it because I'm using it for recording. If I wanted to end, let's say, the Task Manager, obviously it'll close this, choose End Task, and it'll close just that particular process. One of the new features in the new Task Manager in Windows 11 is the option for you to specify a process or to define a process to run in efficiency mode. So for example, let's say we have Microsoft Word here and we want it to run in efficiency mode. Now for this, you need administrator rights to your PC. So you select Microsoft Word and you then select efficiency mode and then select turn on efficiency mode, and it will run it for only this particular application. For those applications that are running in efficiency mode, notice that it will add this little icon next to it. So the first option on the Task Manager is the processes that I just covered. The next option on the left is the Performance tab. This gives you an overview of the resources and the utilization of these resources in your computer. So I click here on Processes or Performance, and notice I have the processor, the CPU here, the various speed, the details, and the general usage for this particular processor. Notice under Memory, how much memory is being used, and then the disk drives in the PC, the writing speed, and the read speed. Further down, you also have the graphics utilization for your graphics card in your PC. Further down here on the left-hand side, we have the app history and the utilization of these applications. Notice you can delete the usage history. Further down, we have the applications and the startup in Windows Startup. So all of these processes are basically running automatically on startup. So let's say I'm not using OneDrive. You can select from here the application on the left-hand side under the name area and then select here disable. So this is how you would disable an application from the Windows 11 startup. Click on it, select disable, and now that application will not start up every time you start your PC. Further down, we have the users and all the processes associated with that user. Notice that you have also the options here to disconnect a specific user and also to manage the user account. So this is another way to get to account management in Windows 11. Further down, we have various details. If you wanted to see what an application, whether the status of it, how much memory is being utilized, the architecture, and the name of it, and so on. Further down, we have services. These are the various services that run in the PC. And obviously, you need to be careful here not to turn off specific ones that may be necessary. If one needs to be running, but it's not, then this is where you could click on it and then select to start it up here on the top right. On the very bottom left here, we also have the settings for Task Manager. Here you can specify which tab to open automatically when you open Task Manager. By default, it's processes, whether to use a lot of resources, what priority to give to this application, and then whether you want this to always stay on top, or whether you want to have it minimized when it's in use and so on when you switch away from this application. This top menu here, the three lines in the very top, it also gives you a more descriptive view of the Task Manager. In this module of the Windows 11 tutorial, I'll explain some of the concepts related to Focus Assist. It's a new feature in Windows 11. It was also introduced late in Windows 10. Focus Assist, it's one of the features that allows you, like the name states, for you to focus. It's designed for you to focus on your work and not be bothered by alerts while you are working. The settings can be controlled very easily from the control center. So if we go here on the bottom right and click on the control center, there is this option here, Focus Assist. By default, all notifications are going to be popping up on your computer depending on whatever it is you have allowed. To change those settings, you can click here on the next option to priority only. So this will allow only priority alerts to be displayed, and you'll not be bugged while you're working on a particular project. You can also choose only alarms. The alarms would be, let's say, meeting notifications or meeting reminders. Now, as far as figuring those settings, you can go under the search area, go under the Focus Assist, and this is where we can change the settings. So you can have automatic rules that you can set. If you're duplicating your display, it's going to display only the alarms, but not necessarily other alerts that you might be getting from chats, from chat applications, and that would not be a good thing if you want to project it to a meeting. But you can display and customize so that only certain settings are displayed, like connecting to a secondary display or duplicating the display, or if you're playing a game, what should happen, what alerts would come up. You can also prioritize the settings from here. You can hide all notifications at particular times, and you can set the working hours or specific times of the day where certain actions are allowed or notifications are allowed or disallowed. In this session of the Windows 11 tutorial, I'll demonstrate how to access the command line terminal for Windows 11. Sometimes you may need to run applications manually or just check settings or check things manually in your computer. So you can either go under the search option here and then type the word command, and it will take you to the command prompt. And this basically will allow you to access files or to run specific commands, or let's say find the IP address, specific settings in your computer. So this is the command prompt option. There is also the option to access the Windows terminal. Windows terminal, it actually uses the Windows PowerShell, which allows you, it's one of the newer ways of managing settings in a PC and running particular commands in a PC. So you could search for this by going to the search option here and searching for Windows PowerShell, and it will get you to the same item, or you can right click and choose Windows Terminal. For a lot of the functions, you might need to run it as an admin equivalent for being able to execute specific commands in your PC. In this module of the Windows 11 tutorial, I'll demonstrate how to add an application manually to Windows Startup. For some reason, this feature in Windows 11, it's more complicated than it needs to be. I'll demonstrate how to do this manually. To do this, first we need to be able to run the run command. So unlike going up here and doing the search, we need to either be in command line or in the terminal mode, or go here and right click on the desktop and choose run. It'll bring us the old run command like in Windows 7 or Windows 10. You can also access this by pressing the Windows key and R, and that will get you the run command as well. Now at this point we need to type in there shell : startup, and then we hit enter. This will bring us to the location where we can place specific programs that we want to open on startup. So in this case, we can keep this window open on the left-hand side, and then we can go to our File Explorer and then open a new session of the File Explorer. Now from here, we need to go to, let's say, to the programs, wherever that particular program is located. So program files here, and let's say I want this program called Handbrake, which is video editing program, and I want this to start up every time upon boot up of the computer. At this point, I can right click on this and then drag it to the left, and it's going to create a link to it in the startup. And I click here to create a shortcut on this area. So again, that was right clicking, so finding initially where the program is located, right clicking on it, dragging it over, and then choosing to create a shortcut. Not copying it, because then we are copying the whole program. We are just creating a shortcut in order to launch that specific program. You can do this also with other applications. So let's say here we are in the All Apps area. So let's say I want one of my apps here to open up automatically upon boot up. So let's say I want Firefox to be one of those programs. So I can right click here and choose more and then find the file location. So this is where the file is actually residing. The executable for this program is residing in the PC. Now from here, again, I right click it and then create a shortcut, and now both of these programs will open up every time automatically once I reboot Windows 11. In this segment of the Windows 11 tutorial, I'll do a very quick overview of a new application that was added to Windows 11 with the 2022 update. The application is called ClipChamp, and it allows for video editing in Windows 11. So it's a video editor in Windows 11. So to locate ClipChamp, you simply click on the Start window here and then start typing ClipChamp Video Editor. It would also be available from the All Applications in the Start menu. Click on it. Now the first thing that you typically need to do is sign in with a Microsoft account. Once you sign in or create an account for ClipChamp, pick whether you're using it for education or for other types of content, or you can skip this. Once you sign in, you have some templates that you can utilize for various platforms, whether it's YouTube or gaming or Instagram or social media. Further down here, you can go to settings and control the various settings, whether it's the connection to the Microsoft account or changing accounts and things of that nature. So to create a new video, you can simply pick one of the templates from here or start from scratch on the top right. You first need to insert the media first, and then you have all these various options and graphics and so on that you can utilize in this case. Add those to the timeline. It will import all the components, and all you have to do is change the content of the current template. Now to modify the text here, you simply click on each of these areas. So you select the area of text here, and on the right hand side you select change the actual text. Then select the next text option and preview it. Then you can change the alignment, change the fonts and other properties for it, the various color options, transforming this into different positions, fading it, filters and colors and so on. Importing media from MP4 files that you might have in your computer as part of the track here, and manipulating the components that already exist in here. Once you are set with the video itself, then you'd click here on Export and then select to export it as an MP4. You can obviously 1080p is what in most cases you'll use. That's a higher quality. So you'd click on 1080p and then you'll select where you want to save this clip. Once it's produced, you can upload it to Google Drive, YouTube, or other platforms, social media platforms, as you see from here. Once the video has been produced, we can click here on Open File, and we'll be able to preview it. At this point, we can save it to our computer or share it to various social media platforms. In this segment of the Windows 11 tutorial, I'll demonstrate how to use the updated sound recorder application in Windows 11. With the 2022 update for Windows 11, the sound recorder application was updated to have a much more visually appealing look and feel to it. To access a sound recorder application, you can go under the Start menu and simply either locate it under the list of applications here or all apps, or simply under the search, select sound recorder. Then Once located, you click on it. The first time you open it up, it may require an update. And once you open it up, you have these options right here to simply start recording. On the left-hand side here, you have the option to import an existing file. Here, further down, you have the previous recordings that you may have done in this computer. And you can manage those recordings by right-clicking and then choose to rename them or to delete them if necessary. And then further down, you have the option for the microphone that you want to use for the recordings. And then you are ready to start recording here. And in the center area, this is where the WAV file will be displayed. Now on the top right, we can select to share this. And there are also additional settings to customize the sound recorder application. So to record something, we simply press here the record button and just talk away. And at this point, you just keep on talking and the WAV file will be displayed at the center of the screen here. Once you're done with the recording, you simply press pause, and you can press space to pause it, or you can press stop to stop the whole recording. Now to preview our recording, we simply press play. At this point, you just keep on talking and the WAV file will be displayed at the center of the screen here. Now, unfortunately, you cannot do editing of the audio file from here. It would be nice if we were able to do that. But we can change, however, various other settings. For example, here under settings, you can change the recording format, whether you want it MP3 or other formats, the audio quality recording, and the theme as well for the application. Media Player is another application that was updated with the 2022 update for Windows 11. So if we go here to Applications and search for Media Player, the one called Media Player, you'll notice that it has a completely different visual look and feel to it. So you have your home location here. It's your music library, and you specify a folder where your music is located by simply clicking on Add a Folder. And then the video library as well after having specified the folder. In my case, I had specified the folder for it. You can add a new folder from up here on the top right, and then select wherever your videos are located. Notice you have also the play queue and the playlists for media files. Now, in the bottom left here, we also have the settings area, and this is where you can control the music locations and specify what folders. And the same thing for video locations as well. The theme, can select the system setting or dark mode, and the accent color using system settings or the default color scheme here. For missing album information, you can select so it looks up the album information from online as well. Now for the various videos, we go here to the video library and pick any of these videos. Notice you have the configuration icon here where you can play the video, you can play it next, basically add it to the queue, and also edit this in ClipChamp. ClipChamp is a new video editor that was added with the 2022 update as well to Windows. On the bottom right, here you have also the languages and subtitles. If the video has subtitles, then it will be able to display them during the playtime. And the audio controls, the volume control, full screen option, and you can minimize the player. Then on the far right here, you have the further configuration settings for the Windows Media Player, where you can bring up the equalizer for the sound, the speed, casting it to devices, video settings, rotating it and enhancements and so on, and then skip forward or backwards. Obviously, at the center here in the bottom, you have the option to play the actual video. So it's a good enhancement overall compared to what it used to look before. For example, this is the legacy media player. Notepad is another application that was updated with the 2022 release of Windows 11. It just has some simple but good improvements to the Notepad application. So we go here under the Start menu or the search item here, and then search for Notepad. Obviously, it was right there because I had opened it a moment ago. Notice that the look of it has changed. And on the top right here, you also have settings that you can modify, such as the font and the size of the font, including the theme as well. In this module of the Windows 11 tutorial, I'm going to demonstrate how to reset your PC. Resetting your PC may be necessary if your computer got infected with a virus or something is not working well in your PC and you just need to go back. The other option is that you can reset your PC when you're selling it or giving it away, and you want to wipe everything out. So this video is going to demonstrate how to do that as well. So to get to the Reset This PC option, we just simply search here under the Windows settings and search for Reset PC. At this point, we have 4 options. One of the things is that we can fix issues without resetting the PC. So this can take a while. You can just click on it. It's going to run a troubleshooter for specific items, and it will notify you what the issues with your PC are. So I would suggest that you try this first. The other thing to try if you're having problems with your PC is to go back to a previous date and time and try that first. This is like if something is not working for a particular version of Windows, you can go back to a previous version of Windows by clicking on Go Back here. You'd enter your password, provided it prompts you. It's going to give you times and dates when you want to go back to. Now in this case, it's prompting us, well, before you go back, why don't we check for updates first? That's something probably good to do. Sometimes there are drivers, there's fixes that can be applied to the PC. But for now, I'll say no. In your case, you probably would want to say yes before you do this. Then we click here, Next, and then it's making sure that we can sign in again. And then it's prompting us to go back to Windows 10. In this case, I had updated from Windows 10 to Windows 11. This is going back to a previous version of Windows. The other option is to reset this PC. Resetting the PC, there will be 2 options here. We can reset it keeping the files, or we can reset it and remove everything. To keep the files, if you choose this option is best if you're infected with a virus and you want to just keep your files, your personal files, and reinstall all your programs. Remember, this is going to need for your programs to be reinstalled. So if you had Microsoft Office loaded in your computer or your business management software loaded in your computer, you'd have to reload these programs all over again. So this will remove the apps and settings, and it will keep your personal files. My suggestion, even in this case, is that if you have access to the files, consider also backing up the files first, just in case. Back them up to an external flash drive, to an external drive, or to a to a cloud storage service, such as Google Drive or OneDrive. So here you click on this, it says it's not going to take very long, and then it says, well, how do you want to download your next version of Windows? It would say I want to download it from the cloud because we don't have the local install, and you'd click on Next and just follow the prompts from there. Now, if you are resetting this computer or selling it, then you can remove everything. It will remove all your personal files, the apps and settings and so on. This process, it's going to prompt us a couple times here, and I'm not going to do it, obviously. Choose the installed version of Windows, and then you'd click on next, and then it's going to confirm that we really want to delete the files on your PC. And obviously, if you really want to do it, you'll approve it and then proceed with a reload. This is a clean install. This is not going to retain anything. This is the safest thing, the last thing for a virus, provided you don't need your files or you have backed up your files. The process, it's going to take anywhere from 30 to 60 minutes, depending on how fast your computer is, what the storage is in your, what type of hard drive you have in your PC. During the reinstall of Windows and the cleaning of the PC, there's also going to be an option to erase the drive and access to the files permanently. You probably want to select that option if you are selling your computer or giving it away. That's going to basically write a bunch of zeros across the whole drive so that somebody cannot recover your files that you had deleted. If for some reason you need to create a bootable flash drive as well, so you'd go to this website, microsoft.com, en-english/software download /Windows 11. From here, you can either get the latest version of Windows 11 and download it manually and run a new upgrade or update in your PC, or you can scroll down and create here a bootable flash drive, a bootable USB or DVD drive. In this video, I'll demonstrate how to enable TPM in a Hyper-V machine is hosting a Windows 10 machine. The reason we want to do this is because we want to upgrade to Windows 11, and by default in Windows 11 the installation wizard is going to fail unless the TPM module is enabled in the virtual machine. So here's my Hyper-V and also my desktop that I have currently running with Windows 10. Now we go here to the actual machine. I have this off, currently in the off state. We right click, we choose settings. Once we are in settings, then we can go here to the security and we choose to enable the enable trusted platform module. Then we click OK. At this point we're all set with the process, and now we can fire up the machine and upgrade this to Windows 11. In this module I'll demonstrate how to use sticky notes in Windows 11. Sticky Notes is just an add-on tool, or actually a tool that comes with Windows 11, but it's useful for reminders and similar to post-it notes on your desk. To access Sticky Notes, you simply go to the Start menu here and just type Sticky Notes. Once it opens up, typically it may even prompt you to connect to a Microsoft account, and if so, then just simply log into it. At this point, you can simply take a note. You can use the new note on the top here and simply type, and that's it. Now you can close this and you have various notes all over your desktop, and you can customize those, and once you're done with them, you can simply delete them or close them.